Okay, second video. First one was covering that inside line against people who take a guard out of presence, low to they're outside, you're inside. How to cover that action with a single sword. Now, adding in the piece where Gigante, in that plate you found, Gigante? Adding in the dagger. Pretty much, you got it. That the way you covered it in the video that you sent me is right. But don't overcommit to that counter guard too soon. Because if I'm here outside of measure, I can form my counter guard without dropping that dagger just yet. And it has that same effect of, without having a dagger at all, I've started to limit their options, and I've started to force them to choose between two paths, two knowable, counterable paths. So I take that, and then this is because we're out at measure, just outside of measure. This is Gigante says, sword and dagger is single sword plus a dagger. So we're still like at single sword. Like the daggers aren't going to do a damn bit of good here. Because my dagger can't reach your sword can't reach my dagger. But that starts to change as we transition into measure. And now, you see that as I took that step towards your sword, now I dropped the dagger, point down. Because now I'm in a position where you can throw a quick threatening shot, rising hook shot from down that way. And I want to have that covered. So now again, I'm using the dagger to cover against that yielding shot. So I don't have to worry about getting my sword over. I don't have to worry about fancy footwork. The coverage is that dagger goes down. Now, yeah, you're not getting to my stomach because my dagger's in the way. Kept my weapons joined, so my hand did come across a bit. Now I'm a little bit more open over here on the right side. And here again, if you overcommit on this bind, you've really done what I want you to do, which is open up that disengage. Open up that gravation to your high outside line. So don't overcommit here. Especially don't overcommit out here. Don't give away your counter guard here. Out here where it's not going to do any good. You're outside of measure. You're not even at, just one step out of measure range. Don't set up a counter guard. Don't tell your opponent what you're going to do. Let them tell you. Hey, they took that lazy guard. Great, now you step to really the range where you start to form counter guards. Now I'm letting that tip drop. And my sword's coming across. It actually might be a little rusty. Yeah, that's about right. I think I was letting it come across too much even. So, swords come across a little bit. Now, even here, pretty far away, I'm fairly confident they no longer have that yielding shot at all. Unless they try to throw some, hook up into Prima. At which point, I got my fancy footwork. So really now what I'm just waiting for is that cavation to the right shoulder. If they don't take it, I add a little pressure. Take a little step in. When they take it, it's just Wistric sword and dagger game. Throw yourself at the ground and don't hit. So yeah, so from here, and then it's, again, that, I can take this step in and start applying, Spanish Atajo levels of aggressive pressure into that once I'm really inside measure. Once that hook shot coming around this way is just not a threat, because they have to move too far to get to. They have to move past me to be able to throw that hook shot past my weapons and whatever. Once I'm in here, and proceeding with resolution, now everything's safe and I'm okay. But out here, they're out of presence in my low inside line. I cover my inside line. Single sword or sword and dagger. I cover my inside line, same way I cover my inside line any other time. Put my sword at their sword shoulder, right shoulder. If I've got my dagger, I bring my dagger up so that my weapons are joined. Standard weapons joined. My tip is on my thumb. My dagger tip is on my thumb right now. As I step to measure, now things start to adjust. Now that dagger drops down. Because now it's in a position where the geometry means it's now really able to cover that shot where they're going to try to throw into, or that yielding shot where they want to throw around everything and try to come in on my far inside line. It's just a question of measure, dialing that in. Where in the distance between you and your opponent is the right point to do that. That's just experience. That's just playing with this. That's just walking at your opponent, waiting for them to throw that shot and seeing if you can make that parry. And then, okay, how far back could you have made that parry? So yeah, start out here again. Weapons join. Step a little. I'm still not there. Okay, now my daggers. Yeah, now I'm covering low because now I feel threatened by that point. So now really what I'm waiting for, while I'm doing whatever I'm doing, because I'm not just standing here, but what I'm looking for is then throwing a cavazione into my right shoulder. And as I continue to press, maybe they're retreating, maybe I'm just continuing pressing forward. If they throw that cavazione, I roll. And that's, they're throwing at the right shoulder. I can yield. And dagger does a little bit of work, but the sword just goes forward. So that's Wistric's. Dagger closing the line with the dagger on the low inside line. And then everything that you can do with single sword, you can do with sword and dagger. Because sword and dagger is just single sword plus a dagger.